It's Wednesdays with Keegs and Keegs. Toronto Blue Jays. Are we getting into the we should be concerned stage of the season, or so far this ship isn't taking on water yet? What's your take?
I feel like we're always one game away from a big narrative swing, one game away from being just about 500. And then you go into last night's game against the Rays, the Tuesday nighter, and it had every reason to be the game that felt like, they overcame the haunted drop, they pulled it off, but a few weird bounces, a few weird ground balls sent it the other way. So I keep thinking, Dan, back to this time last year, even kind of mid to late May, they were still like this. The offense was even worse, which I don't really remember. I think the World Series run has tainted my mind. Maybe it's my lifestyle too. I don't know why I'm not remembering these things. But the offense last year was not this good, which is strange. So I still think there is all the time in the world. Guys will get healthy. Addison Barger either today or on Friday. But they are just so close to that one win that will make us talk about this team differently. That one win that'll get you to 500, and we can say start the season over, 0-0 record. It's a 125 game season. Go get it. They're so close to that, but they just can't get over that hump. And what that is really a product of, Dan, is the fact that they are still underwater with their rotation. Because once you get one or two good starts in a row, hey, you've got somebody coming who's either on a short leash, who's injured, who is Eric Lauer trying to plug in. You can't really get momentum going when you're trying to figure out your rotation on the fly.
Speaking of that rotation, this is what concerns me, is they aren't getting gems like from Kevin Gausman on Tuesday night, but it's a game in which, okay, he's got us there. The gates weren't thrown open. We still have a shot, and then they still can't get it done. And then you have Tyler Rodgers come in and Mr. Dependable. Nothing's hit hard, but still he gives up 2 runs.
Yeah, last night's a game you need to win. I know it's easy to blame it on the Trop, and as a Trop purist, as a man who understands the beauty of the Trop, I refuse to do so. But John Schneider said it the other day, and I like this. He said going into the series, like, it's not the Trop, it's not the roof, it's not the turf. There's nothing haunted here. If there was, Dan, the Rays would win the World Series every year because they'd win 115 games every year. There is just a lot of bad luck for the Blue Jays in that building. They just tend to have bad days there, which they need to figure it out. And I feel like blaming it on the Trop, that just mystifies it. It makes it into this big, undefinable thing that's like a weird quasi-excuse of some sort. But last night was an example of what people are talking about when they do go down that road. The Tyler Rodgers inning, I mean, God, it's you can't blame it on the guy. It's just a nature of what he's going to run into. I think back to a couple of years, Dan, where like Alejandro Kirk was almost like the league leader in infield singles because he just keep hitting these weird bouncers down the line. He's the slowest dude in the league. But when you get that very specific type of contact, you can run into some luck, especially when infielders are playing back. That is just what you sign up for with Tyler Rodgers. Like when I'm bringing up Rodgers and his season-long stats here right now, 17 appearances. I thought he would be actually used a bit more already. But a 1.62 ERA, like you'll take that all year. Hell yeah, it's fantastic. But you have to accept that along the way, there's just going to be one or two outings. There's been 2 of them so far, very clearly, where it just goes wrong. And he's not getting rocked. There was that weird, annoying flare hit down the left field line for a double, a big chopper, a ground ball up the middle. You leave yourself open to batted ball luck. And it's just something you have to deal with. That is maybe one reason why we haven't seen the Blue Jays try him out in a closer's role just yet. You want more of the strikeout guy there. But it's frustrating because it's something that you feel like there's no power over. Like if Jeff Hoffman goes out and gets lit up, you at least believe that he has power to change that. So, okay, make a better pitch, throw it harder, throw it more accurately. With Tyler Rodgers, like he's making his pitches, but 1 out of every 10 times, it's just going to be an annoying outing. And when your offense is not scoring enough, an annoying outing becomes a loss. So it all comes back to the offense still for me. Even though I know they're a little bit better than last year, there are too many games, Dan, where we're talking about like Jeff Hoffman blew a save, Tyler Rodgers allowed a run here. And at the end of all of those sentences, it's always, and the Blue Jays lost 3-2. You got to score more runs. Make it easy. Like, give your relievers permission to screw up a bit and not be the story of the day. And that's all on the lineup, I think, still. Anyone that's not named Kaz Okamoto, it's on the lineup.
Yeah, Kaz.
He's unreal. I can't believe it.
He's unreal. And so is Pinango. Pinango? Pinango. He's been amazing.
Always fear a man with a red lipstick kiss tattoo.
Oh, yeah. I pointed that out to the family last time. Like, I'm getting one of those. They just rolled their eyes.
I honestly, Dan, when I do because the MLB pipeline top 30 list, I do that, the Blue Jays list. My name's not on it. I don't like it to be a thing. But the rankings and the scouting reports are what I do in spring training. And a really important part of being there for spring training is just being around guys. And I don't like it when top prospect lists come out in like January. Like I want to be there and see the guys, talk to them a little bit, talk to coaches about them, but also just get a feel for who they are. And I know that this is going to sound kind of whimsical and foolish, but like just to get a feeling for, is this guy an adult or is he a 24-year-old kid who still needs mom and dad to help him out, type of thing. Yohendrick Pinango is a grown man. Like he is an adult, okay? And it's a really important factor, I think, in prospect coverage and prospect rankings. You see a lot of prospects coming up nowadays who signed a couple $1 million signing bonus. They've always been the golden boy when they were playing in 10 and under ball, high school ball, college ball. They've always been the golden boy, and they're used to that. But then you can come across prospects like Yohendrick Pinango, who has a little bit more grit to him, and who is, I think, a little more hardened by the game, and who is more emphatic and in control of his own game. And I like that. Just being around him in spring training actually changed my impression of him. Because before that, Dan, Yohendrick Pinango to me was just a stat line. And an outfielder who I'd been told by coaches and evaluators was talented. He hit the ball hard. It was probably on the ground too much. Not much of an outfielder. I wasn't all that excited about Yohendrick Pinango. But now that we see the whole package, I think they need to find a way to keep this guy around. Honestly, it's going to get tight. Lenin Sosa is on that bubble. Davis Schneider is on that bubble. Someone who the Blue Jays really want to get going. But in a season where you are trying to turn this lineup around, you can't look at what Yohendrick Pinango is doing and turn your head to the other side. I mean, I know it's only 8 games here, but what is he? I'm bringing up his line. He's 10 for 22, 455 average, driven in a few runs. What I like, Dan, he's only struck out twice in those 23 plate appearances. We talked about this with Brandon Valenzuela earlier in the season. When he came up, he looked okay, but he was striking out a million times. That's gotten better. Pinango is not getting overwhelmed so far. He is being aggressive. And maybe most importantly of all, Dan, he is being his own identity as a hitter. Like Pinango's thing is like, hey, I'm here, screw you, I'm going to swing really hard. And that's what he's doing. Elsewhere in this lineup, we see hitters trying to be someone else or lesser or more versions of themselves. Pinango's just doing his thing. And I think that should be encouraged. And I think that should be in the lineup as often as possible.
You mentioned Valenzuela. We've been paying close attention to his battle for the backup spot once Alejandro Kirk returns with Heineman. And Valenzuela had his first, you mentioned being is a player and a kid or an adult. And Valenzuela showed his age in Tuesday night's game, trying to tag up and take second on a fly ball to center, in which I've never seen George Springer be so upset with a teammate when he saw that happen. Luckily, I think it was Pinango who bailed him out and cashed in the run anyway, and then got rid of the Jays' challenges very early in the game. And every time they cut to Valenzuela in the dugout, someone was in his ear.
Yeah, that will be a learning experience for young Brandon Valenzuela. He is Like he is someone who, like, I mean, I've said it 100 times. I fully believe is a big leaguer. I think he's a big leaguer right now. These are things where you just don't screw them up twice. You know, he screwed those things up a couple times. There were a couple ones earlier in the season too. There was the one time in, I believe, Arizona, where he left that big chopper in front of home plate to drop, waiting for it to go foul. It backfired on him. These are mistakes, and I think if you're John Schneider, you're DeMarlo Hale, the Blue Jays coaching staff, you're telling him just don't do that again. Like, don't screw that up twice. Okay, this is not the minor leagues. If you are tagging to run to second on that play, number one, look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I a catcher? Should I be doing this? If you are, I don't know if anyone of the Blue Jays should be doing that. Like, they're not really a speed team. If you're
Miles
Chandler
Straw,
Simpson,
maybe.
go ahead. Miles can do it. He's all right. But if you're the catcher, no. Um, and also, it's just an understanding of who you are on the team. If you're Vladdy and you make a crazy base running decision, and he does this all the time, I have a little more room for that, Dan, because it's the best player on the team trying to drag the team somewhere. Other players closer to Brandon Valenzuela's spot on the roster, let's call it, you just don't want to be the guy that screws it up. You know, you've got Yohendrick Pinango behind you, who did bail him out, thankfully, but let this thing keep rolling. The Blue Jays' whole identity is just rolling through the lineup. Like, they're not a big blow team. You know, they're not the team that just tries to land one big punch. They try to hit you with the jab, the jab, the jab, and that got in the way of that. So, evidently, it did not raise to the level of another manager's decision. I was curious. Can you, like, remove a catcher for a manager's decision and then put in the guy you just did the same thing to? I think John Schneider is going to give Alejandro Kirk the biggest hug of his life when he is back off the IL. And I still think that Valenzuela has that inside track, but you're seeing some rookie learning experiences, we'll call them.
There's a lot of chess being played with the pitching challenges and when to use them. And John Schneider was very irate because of some of the calls that were being made by the home plate ump. But I saw a discussion online yesterday, the day before, where, again, this is way out in left field. The premise was, why not have it for the entire game, every pitch, so when it's close? Because once you're out of your challenges, then essentially the ump saying, you're stuck with whatever I call now. And you're like, well, that's not fair.
You're screwed. I feel like if you go that way, then it's just fully automated. And that a full automated ball and strike system, what that would look like is an earpiece in the umpire's ear, and the moment the catcher catches the ball, it's saying strike or ball to the umpire.
I'm okay
And
with that.
he is essentially just, performing the human act of calling it. Yeah, I don't hate the idea, honestly, but I do like the game of trying to save them for the right spot.
Yeah.
And that's an art form that I think some people are really good at and some people are really bad at. I see hitters challenging, strikes up in the zone in the second inning, and I think, what are you doing? It's unless, like, if you're in the second or third inning, Dan, unless you've got two runners on, it's a 3-2 count, and it's really not a call you agree with, you got to keep that thing in your pocket, man. I think people will figure it out eventually. And ideally it won't slow the game down too much. But I like the strategy a little bit. Kind of in the NFL, you go to a booth review in the last 2 minutes, like maybe that's something they explore. In the ninth inning, maybe there's, you can call down from upstairs and do something, but it's an art form, man. And a lot of people still believe in themselves a little too much at this point.
I think they've got the colors wrong, though, because when they show if it's a ball or a strike, for a ball, it's green. And for a strike, it's red because it's coming in. I'm like, oh, it's green. That's got to be a strike. Oh, that's a ball. Because it should be green means, anyway,
it's a pretty electric in stadium experience when they get it going quickly.
I love every part of it.
It's pretty cool.
By the way, I wanted to point out that my eyesight at the age of 50 is still very good. I sent this text to Keegs on the game on Monday. I said, did they put a lighter material roof on the Trop? It looks much brighter. And you said, yeah, they definitely did. 1 inning later, They started talking about the roof and they said, yeah,
Wow.
instead of 2 layers, they only put 1. So I just got to say, my eyes, I am a very visual person. And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, that place is a hell of a lot brighter. So the
Smart
Trop.
engineering, the last roof went so well. Let's put half as much roof up there. But it's man, when I stand on that field, I don't know how the hell people catch fly balls.
Well, with
Like
it being brighter, it's got to be more difficult now.
it's got to be. And you're dealing with the catwalks up there too. A lot of the time the ball hits the catwalk, but there's also times where it will just disappear behind the catwalk for a second and it's hard to pick it back up on an all white backdrop, So that place is one of a kind, man. I love it. Players do not like playing the sport of baseball there, unfortunately. Um, I'm interested to see what happens stadium wise there the next 5, 8 years. Like there's so much talk and they have plans and moving forward with a new stadium, but it's it's a place where I guess you've got to be indoors. It just rains too much. But the old Trop is one of a kind, probably for a reason. No one has looked at that and said, let's do this.
How long is the manager's chat before the first pitch at home plate at the Trop? Like 30 minutes? Because there's a
Oh,
lot to
God.
go over there.
All the ground rules. Here's what happens if you hit it into the Devil Ray tank type stuff. It's just yeah. I don't think John Schneider likes going to the Trop. Certainly, like the players like a Tampa trip because most of them have houses there. Whether
Well, I was
that's
going to
'cause they
mention that,
like
and
the area or tax purposes, I don't know. But
and all the guys that are doing rehab, they showed up, so they got to see
they had like a
Anthony
40-man dugout.
Santander.
Bowden Francis is in the dugout. Yeah,
I'm like, what? He's still a Blue Jay?
Anthony Santander. There we go. He's I forget that often, quite frankly.
I feel bad. I forgot what he
Man.
looked like. I'm like, who's that guy? Oh,
Ooh.
that's Santander.
Yohendrick Pinango, he got real old real quick, but he's man, oh man. How many games will I cover of Anthony Santander playing baseball for the Blue Jays beginning now? Like what? I don't know. What's the over under?
Does he still have a year left?
3 after this. It's a 5-year, $92.5 million deal. And it's been pretty much 2 years wiped out totally. That's a tough one.
Oh man. Hey, do you have an update on Barger?
He should be, if not today, he'll fly back north with them and be ready for Friday. It's still possible he is today. Barger, I'm most interested to hear the Jose Berrios update, either today or Friday.
And are you expecting good or bad?
I mean, he's pitching through a cracked elbow. I've never been expecting good. And I know I've brought that up a lot over the last month, and it's just because I know he's been cleared to pitch with that. I know it's just a pain management issue, but I keep coming back to the fact that like I have not covered a guy who's pitched through a cracked elbow. And I still remember the day in spring training because he underwent an MRI for insurance purposes for the WBC, and they caught this. And I remember that day when we were told like there's a stress fracture in the elbow, but he's going to pitch through it. And I remember the scrum ended, and I was looking at people. I was like, did I just hear that? Like, it's 8 a.m. Maybe I'm not awake yet. Did they say he's going to pitch through a cracked elbow? And now it's May 6th, and he's in an MRI machine. I really hope for the best for Jose because I want to see him get another run at this in Toronto and be who he's been. Because I hate, Dan, that the last year has really changed how people talk about Berrios. Because for a decade, he was one of the most reliable pitchers in Major League Baseball. And reliability and consistency impressed the hell out of me for a starting pitcher like him. So I worry that that's been lost, and I never want to lose that. But, man, when you are pitching with an elbow that has a crack in it, it's likelier that bad things are going to happen than good things, I guess.
Before we let you go, wanted to get your take on the NHL draft lottery. Not how it panned out, but just the entire viewing process, because I now refuse to watch because I feel like I'm not a smart human because I'm always sitting there watching saying, I don't know what's going on.
Can't we just assign a number of balls? Like if you have the best chance, you get the most ping pong balls type of thing. And we pull out logos. Like,
yes.
I was just kind of grasping what was happening as it went on. So I know that my mom sitting at home is looking at this and just saying things at the TV that I would never repeat. And I mean, no, what a ridiculous TV production. I mean, like the ping pong guy, like we bring over the what did they call him? Like the man who's going to run the pinball machine or whatever it
And
was.
he's from
but,
an accounting,
or
like
ping
Price
pong.
Waterhouse.
And they've got a briefcase and all this. It was so weird. Just do the thing where it looks like Deal or No Deal and you just open the envelopes, or just assign ping pong balls that have logos on them.
Yes.
Oh, the Leafs have the lowest odds. They only get one ping pong ball. So it was a weird experience. But then, Dan, when they finally simplified it and were like, here are the numbers that everyone needs, and I'm sitting on my couch and that 12 pops up, that was pretty electric. I've got to give it to, after 19 minutes of me just cringing at my television, when the number 12 popped up, obviously rigged and staged by the NFL
100%.
or the NHL, sorry, for, to please the center of the universe in Toronto. But and then seeing Matt Sundin with that hell yeah grin on his face was pretty cool. The other everything else to do with the Leafs management restructuring, yikes. But I grew up such a Matt Sundin guy that that part of it's really cool to me. So just seeing him sitting there with that grin, where he wanted to just be like, all right, here we go.
So it was they got the number 12, right?
12.
So someone's going to find how the number 12 is significant for the Leafs because something happened with a player that wore number 12 or on the 12th of some month. It's going to come down to this is our year because it was the number 12.
I got to bring up who's great Leafs to wear the number 12. Wow, who do we have? Patrick Marleau had at least Stempniak. My goodness. Steve Thomas did briefly. That's
Steve Thomas, legend.
I loved Steve Thomas growing up. I had a poster of him on my wall, but Galchenyuk, Mason Raymond. It's not an impressive number.
So Bill Barilko did not wear number 12?
No, you got to go back a real long way. Number 12 does not have a deep history in Toronto, at least not in the last half century. So that's you'll see the dumbest guy with like a number 12 Leafs jersey and ping pong ball is the name. Just the biggest idiot who spends $400 on that type of thing will be wearing that to his local Jack Astor's on a major intersection in Toronto this weekend.
And I will laugh if I do see that. Thanks, Keegs.
You got it, Dan.
Wow.